So in this one, I'm going to be replacing the pillow ball bearing that's in my camber plate here. So I've had the air lift suspension on for anywhere between 25 and 30,000 miles, and I've started to develop a pretty loud creaking sound coming from the front end of the car. And from what I've seen online from other people, that this bearing here it can be the culprit. It'll get worn out after so long and it'll be due to be replaced. Like, just look at all the corrosion that's in there at the moment. So it's probably high time to replace this bearing, and I'll show you how. And so can you see how much that moves around? It's not supposed to move that freely. So next I'm going to take this top nut off, and then I'm able to take the rest of this plate down. Yep, just got to pry it off a little bit, then it slides out. Alright, so in order to remove the bearing in here, you have to remove these 4 screws here, and these are a 2.5 millimeter hex bolt. On the other side, the driver's side, I ended up having a lot of difficulties with these, and they stripped out, and I ended up having to weld a nut on top of them to get them out. So hopefully this side goes a bit easier. Alright, sweet, that one broke loose. Good Lord. And I'm moving it. Okay, well, looks like I'm gonna have to try to weld on top of these to be able to grab them so I can turn them off. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I managed to get the plate off after I had to weld a little bead on top of the bolts because they were starting to strip out. And then I just grabbed them with the pliers and turned them. So unfortunately, when I put them back in, I'm going to have to still use the pliers, but then I have to grind the top of the welds down. That way there's still clearance between this plate and the top of the strut. That way, whenever I'm turning, it's not going to grind or make contact with the top of it. But now that I'm done with that, I can move on to attempting to pop this bearing out. And so you have to push down from it from this side, and then the whole thing will pop out from this. So I'm going to get set up here real quick and try to get that knocked out. So I have this piece of pipe here sitting, that way I can press down on it from the top and then it just pops out or pops down into it. So I got my C-clamp here. And it's important to try to keep this as centered as possible, that way it goes down easily, a little more smoothly. Yeah, I think now I'm in a good spot. So you're just going to keep turning down on your clamp until the bearing itself pops out underneath. Kind of like that. But hopefully yours is less dramatic than mine ended up being. Holy crap. But popped out just fine, kind of. So now when you're putting the new one in, you're going to go from the opposite direction. You're going to go from bottom to top. And what I'm going to do real quick is just put a thin layer of grease on the inside here. And another trick that I heard you can do if you run into issues with getting the bearing reseated is you can freeze the bearing for a while, and what it does is it'll contract it just a little bit. That way it gives you just slightly more clearance when you're pressing it in. But when you're going to press it, have a socket to go over the little ridge part here. That way you're not going to damage it while you're pressing it down. So in my case, I'm using a 23 millimeter. You could probably get away with something slightly smaller, like maybe a 22. But that's just the route I'm going with. And if you're wondering why there's a saw blade underneath, it's so I don't crack this board while I'm trying to torque down the clamp here, which may end up happening with the studs on this thing, but we will find out shortly. Alright, now I'm just going to try to apply pressure slowly to this, make sure it's not going to slip. Yeah, the bearing's slowly going down, so that's good. Just nice and smooth, there's no hurry to do this. Alright, I think I'm just about done. I'm going to back it out just a little bit, try to get it re-centered. One more turn here. Alright, that seems like that's about as far as it will let me go. Alright, cool. And this, as you can see, this lip and this plate should sit flush with each other, and the top of the bearing here should protrude out. Then at that point you can put the plate back on. Alright, so I got the retaining plate reinstalled and I grounded it down the weld spots. So this is all ready to go back in on top of the strut. You also have this spacer that goes in as well. So now I'm ready to put the camber plate back on. So for orientating, make sure that R, or that little notch, is toward the outside of the car. So as you can see, there's another spacer here. So slides down on top of it. This one goes inside. And then I can put the retaining bolt back on. So I'm gonna apply some Loctite to the threads, tighten this down, and then put the dampener knob back in and get it seated back into the strut here, or strut tower here. Wow, some nice red block type. Yeah, it doesn't want this thing to go anywhere. Alright, so I got everything tightened down and put back together, and so I've gotten both pillow ball bearings replaced on the passenger and driver's side. Alright, let's see if I still have that creaking sound coming from the front. No, looks like all of that's been taken care of now since I got the bearings replaced. Sweet. So yeah, if you happen to run into the same issue as me, I hope this video helps, and that should be it. I'll see you guys next time.